Okay, this is a little test recording just to check the volume is okay for these 2026 screencasts. So in this one, I am just going to do a little exercise that we often do in the studio, where we are trying to work out how many seats we're going to be able to fit on some steel deck. So rather than working in the venue here, I've just placed 3 bits of steel deck 8x4 or 2440 by 1220 off to the side, so I can just do the exercise a little cleaner. So the move by points tool might be the first option that we go to. So in the move by points tool, if I go to my resource manager for the chandler, so if I open up the resource manager and I look in the chandler, I have a seat in there. Now we can use any seat we like, but there's one already in there, a single-sided armchair. So I'm going to double click on that. And then if I just move out, I can place that. Let's do this one down here. I can place that in the venue. I click it once. If I move my cursor out, it'll give me a little rotation. I can't remember which way around that is, so it doesn't really matter at the moment. If I hold down shift, I can lock it into a 90 degree. And there's placed my first seat on the steel deck. Maybe nudge it over a little bit. Now the move by points tool will allow me to do a number of duplicates. There. Through number of duplicates. Now, the trouble with this tool is I don't know how many duplicates. That's what I'm trying to work out. So I've guessed at 9. I want to retain the original objects. So I probably want 8 extra. So 8 plus the original object. And my options here. So the first option here is I'm going to define the spacing between the chairs. So if I click once, say, in the middle, and again out to the side. Again, if I hold down shift, I can lock it to 90 degrees, and that's me, a little bit of space between the arms there. That's me placed 9. Not quite right. So I can go again. I can click one of the chairs. I don't want to duplicate 9 9s, if you know what I mean. I can do maybe another. Let's try. It doesn't matter if I do some extra, we can delete them out. So click there, pull it a little bit out. So it looks like I've got, how many is that now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's one way of doing it. A little bit clunky, deliberately clunky there. If I take so there's one way. If I go back to my resource manager and I take my chair and I come to this one here and I place that there. The second option in the move by points is to define the overall distance. Now again, assume I don't know that it's going to be 12 and I'm just going to go 9 because that was my first guess, like say 3 per piece. This time, I'm choosing the third option here, still retaining the original object, and I click once and then pull my cursor out, and I can see that there's probably too big a gaps between the chair, so I can escape that. Let's try 10, see what that looks like. Click the middle of the chair, pull it out, maybe a little more. Again, assuming I don't already know this. 12. Click the middle of the chair, just make sure it's highlighted. Move by points. Click the middle of the chair, pull out, and there's looking a little bit more like the one below. So that's another way of doing it. Again, a little bit clunky. The third option is to use the tool sets, the chair tool here. So if I click the chair tool, and I go up to the preferences there. I've already chosen this, but I can choose any chair I like. I can look in the Vectorworks libraries for chairs, or I can use the chair that's already in the chandler. So I can choose that. I can choose the seat spacing, how far apart do I want the seats to be. So say I only want them, say 10 mil between the arms, so they're not touching. It's not at 0, but it's 10 mil. Maybe make that up to 20, perhaps. Not sure. Row spacing. So this will give me my spacings between the rows. I'm only going to have one row here, so it doesn't really matter. And then it's asking about the measurement between the back leg and the front leg, and all the rest of that. So even just in a very, very basic sense, seat spacing, that's probably the one we're going to look at unless we're doing rows. You can have shift rows or lined rows, kind of, again, doesn't really matter because we're not doing rows. And I've got the little use actual symbols on here so I can see how the seats are going to look. So this time, I'm just going to choose the tool, the rectangle tool. And if I click to define where my seats are going to be, I don't have snap on, or else this would be much easier. I could put snap on, where I shouldn't have done this. Snapped objects, snap there. So I've clicked the outer edges, and then I'm going to double click in the middle of here. It's popped back into the seating section, which I've confirmed, and there I have got the maximum number of seats that can be fitted in the box which I defined. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's the third option. So you can see that the spacing between them is slightly different on each one. So if I zoom in closely here, actually that's not aligned particularly well. It's kind of in a little bit more this. It's approached the job slightly differently, but it's still a much easier way of finding out how many seats you can get in maximum, rather than doing the align and distribute or the move by points tool. Okay, hope that was useful. This is the start of more screencasts for 2026.